This was the time when the world was on the edge of collapse. A deadly virus was turning humans into zombies, and in the middle of this nightmare, one man was desperately trying to save the two people who meant the world to him, his wife and their little daughter, who had gone missing in the chaos. The story begins with a boat quietly drifting along a river. On board is a man named Andy, along with his wife and daughter. The land is no longer safe. Almost everyone has turned into the infected, except for a lucky few who are hiding, surviving. Suddenly, Andy notices a family at a distance. He signals to them with his hands, trying to make peaceful contact. But the man in that group raises a gun in return. He doesn't want to take any chances. In a world falling apart, trust has become a luxury. Andy quietly returns to his wife, who's filled with worry. Their food supply is running dangerously low. She's afraid. But Andy holds her hand and reassures her that everything will be okay. As he looks around, he spots a broken boat floating nearby. Curious and desperate, he climbs aboard, and to his relief, he finds some food and supplies inside. But something doesn't feel right. He senses a presence, something lurking. Before he can investigate, he grabs what he needs and rushes back to his boat. His wife is overjoyed to see the supplies. Andy tells her that they now have enough food for at least 2 to 3 months. But that's not enough for her. She wants to secure more, just to be safe. Without telling Andy, she sneaks onto the abandoned boat herself. She gathers a few more things, but just as she's about to leave, something drags her inside. Somehow, she escapes and manages to crawl back to their boat. Andy sees her and is horrified. Her leg is badly wounded. Blood, pain, and fear are all over her face. He panics, but she insists they leave the boat, that she can't stay because she's been infected. Andy refuses. He tells her the water is filled with creatures they don't understand, that it's just a small injury and she'll be fine. But she looks into his eyes and whispers, "It had fingers. It was a zombie." Andy's heart breaks hearing this. His wife, the woman he loves, has been bitten. In a trembling voice, he promises her that she has 48 hours, and in that time, he will find a doctor. He will not let her die. Leaving the safety of the boat behind, Andy takes to the road with his wife and daughter, determined to save her. They come across several abandoned vehicles and manage to start one of them. But the further they drive, the worse she becomes. The virus is spreading fast inside her. She begs Andy to let her go, to leave her behind so that he and their daughter can survive. But he can't. He holds her tighter and brings her back into the car. Just then, out of nowhere, a zombie stumbles into the road. Andy swerves, but the car crashes violently. A sharp wooden stake pierces through his wife's abdomen, and Andy is knocked unconscious by the impact. When he wakes up, the nightmare is real. His wife's body is now fully infected. She is turned. But before she lost her mind completely, before the virus consumed her soul, she left something behind. On the door, written in her blood and trembling hands, were the words, "Save her." She meant their daughter. As Andy reaches back to grab his daughter from the back seat, his infected wife suddenly bites his hand. In pain and shock, he somehow manages to pull his daughter out of the car. But deep down, Andy knows. He's broken. He has lost the love of his life, and now, with the virus in his system, he knows he has only 48 hours left before he turns into a zombie himself. Tears fill his eyes as he stares at his daughter, wondering who will take care of her once he's gone. But he doesn't let fear take over. He calmly sets a timer on his watch. 48 hours. That's all the time he has left to save her. Suddenly, Andy spots someone in the distance. The same man who had stepped in front of their car before the crash. He approaches him cautiously, but to his horror, the man is fully infected. Andy picks up a wooden stick, unsure of what to do. Just then, a young girl appears out of nowhere. Her name is Thumi. She's one of the Aboriginal natives of Australia. She pleads with Andy not to hurt the man. He's her father. To stop him from hurting others, Thumi had tied up her father's mouth. She knew he was infected, but refused to let the virus take away his dignity or his life. Then, Thumi does something heartbreaking. She cuts her own hand and smears her blood on a tree. Her infected father, drawn by the scent, begins licking the blood off the bark. It's how she leads him. It's her way of guiding him without hurting him. Andy, moved and speechless, continues on his journey with his daughter. As they walk further, a streetlight flickers in the distance. Andy senses someone is inside. It turns out to be an old school building. Inside, they find a kind woman who tends to Andy's wound and offers them a place to stay for the night. Grateful, Andy agrees. That night, from a distance, he notices a group of Aboriginals gathered around a fire. Among them is a woman calling out for Thumi. It's her mother, searching desperately. Meanwhile, we see Thumi has carefully dug a pit in the ground and hidden her infected father there, so no one can see him and kill him. The tribal community has made it their mission to eliminate all infected, and she'll do anything to keep her father safe. By morning, Andy knows it's time to move on. He can't stay in one place too long, not with the virus inside him, and not with his daughter at risk. He also knows he can't leave his daughter with the woman at the school. She's ill herself and won't survive for long. So, holding his daughter close, he sets off once again. As he walks, Andy spots a vehicle in the distance. Just as he's about to reach it, a gunshot rings out. Startled, he turns and sees a man lying nearby. He had fired the shot to kill a zombie that was coming up right behind Andy. The man introduces himself as Vic. He warns Andy that the sound of gunfire will attract a horde of infected any minute now. He begs Andy to help him. Vic is pinned under a massive gas cylinder, unable to move. Without hesitation, Andy ties the cylinder to the car and pulls it away with all his strength. Vic is free. They jump into the vehicle and speed away together. Two strangers now connected by survival. The man takes Andy to his home, where his wife is also present. The house appears to be safe and well secured. Later, Vic takes Andy to a strange spot where several infected people surround a large cage. Without hesitation, the two men start killing the infected one by one. After they're done, they approach the cage, only to discover that Thumi is locked inside. Shocked, Andy asks Vic what's going on. Vic casually explains that he kills the infected and collects anything useful from their bodies. He also admits to locking up Thumi. Andy feels disturbed by this, but Vic dismisses his concern, telling him to stop worrying about the girl and start thinking about his daughter. Inside another cage, Vic has also imprisoned an elderly Aboriginal man. They return to the house. That night, Andy quietly steps out, intending to end his life before the infection takes full control. But just then, Vic's wife, Lauren, finds him and stops him. Tearfully, she reveals a terrible truth. Vic isn't her husband. He had killed her real husband. She pleads with Andy, saying, "If you truly want to protect your daughter, you need to get us all out of here." But time isn't on Andy's side. He tells her he had seen a family living by the river, and he plans to take them there. Just as they prepare to leave, Vic shows up and locks Andy in the same cage where Thumi was being held. At first, Thumi is afraid of Andy, but he assures her gently that he means her no harm. They both realize they have to find a way out. Andy comes up with a clever plan. He ties a piece of meat to a chain and throws it far away, then secures the other end of the chain to the door. The infected, attracted by the meat, rush toward it and unknowingly pull on the chain, forcing the door open. Andy and Thumi escape and race back to the house. He grabs his daughter and prepares to flee. Lauren is with them too. But before they can get away, Vic arrives and fires a gunshot. Lauren jumps in front of Andy and takes the bullet, dying on the spot. Andy, Thumi, and the baby manage to escape. Vic chases after them, but they hide so well he can't find them, and eventually gives up. The next morning, Thumi returns to the tree where she had hidden her father. What she sees breaks her completely. He's lifeless, entangled in the wooden branches. Her heart shatters. Andy tries to comfort her, telling her that her father was already gone long ago. But Thumi doesn't want to hear anything. She refuses to go with Andy to the River family. Heartbroken, Andy leaves with his daughter alone. When he checks his watch, he realizes he has only 9 hours left. Suddenly, he collapses. Rain starts to pour. A while later, he regains consciousness, but his daughter is no longer in his arms. Instead, Thumi is carrying her, walking beside him. She has returned to help. She wants to protect the baby, too. Thumi guides Andy through the forest toward the river. She knows every hidden trail. Eventually, they reach the family Andy had seen earlier, but now, tragedy awaits. The head of the family has been bitten. He, too, is on the verge of becoming a zombie. He shows Andy a gun and says, "There are 6 bullets. 4 for my family. You can use the remaining 2 for yourself and your daughter." Andy looks at him, horrified, and refuses. "I can't leave my daughter in a place where no one is safe," he says firmly. So, with heavy steps, Andy starts walking again, carrying his daughter, determined to find a better place for her, even if his time is almost up. Gunshots ring out in the distance. It becomes clear the man has killed his entire family and then turned the gun on himself. Andy picks up the gun, which still has 2 bullets left. He's completely lost, unsure of what to do next. Meanwhile, Thumi is inside the family's tent. While searching Andy's bag, she finds the same photograph given to him by the sick woman earlier. The photo is of Thumi's own family. Realizing this, her trust in Andy grows even deeper. She walks up to him and says, "I want to go back home, to my people." Andy nods in agreement. Thumi then shows him smoke rising in the distance. "My people are there," she says. The 3 of them, Andy, Thumi, and the baby, start making their way through an abandoned railway tunnel. As they walk, they spot Vic ahead. He hasn't seen them yet. Acting quickly, Andy hides Thumi and his daughter inside an abandoned vehicle nearby. Then, blending in with the infected that Vic has chained together, Andy silently stands in line among them. Vic begins shooting the infected one by one. When he reaches Andy, Andy tries to pull out his revolver and kill him, but Vic fights back, wrestles the gun from Andy, and shoots him instead. Vic then walks toward the car where Thumi and the baby are hiding. He yanks Thumi out and throws her onto the tracks, knocking her unconscious. He picks up the baby and sits down, cradling her in his lap. Wounded, Andy walks up to him and pleads for his daughter. Vic says bitterly, "You took Lauren from me. Now I'll take your daughter from you." Andy replies, "Lauren was never yours." Something about this strikes Vic deeply. A moment of clarity hits him, and in silent guilt, He gently hands the baby back to Andy. Andy, Thumi, and the baby continue their journey, but Thumi struggles to walk. Her head is injured. Andy encourages her, saying, "If you faint now, we'll never reach the end." His words push her forward, even through the pain, but Andy's strength is fading fast. Soon, he collapses to his knees. He knows the end is near. He turns to Thumi and says, "Promise me, you'll always look after my daughter." Thumi promises. Andy asks her to hand him a small box. It contains a restraint, a loop to tie his hands. Meanwhile, the scene shifts to Thumi's people. They are burning infected bodies, the source of the smoke they saw earlier. Suddenly, emerging through the thick smoke, we see Andy, with the baby on his back, guided by Thumi. Before leaving, Andy had tied a piece of meat to a stick and handed it to Thumi. Zombies are attracted to the scent of meat, and wherever Thumi points the stick, Andy, now a zombie himself, follows. In this heartbreaking but brilliant way, Thumi leads him to her tribe. She holds Andy's hand as they walk, but tragically, when the tribe sees him, they have no choice. They must kill him. One of the warriors drives a spear through Andy, ending his suffering. In the end, Thumi and her mother embrace Andy's daughter and accept her as one of their own. They honor Andy with a proper funeral. And with that, this powerful and emotional movie, I hope this story touched your heart as much as it did mine. Tell me in the comments, what did you feel watching this movie? I read each and every one of your comments. We'll meet again in the next video with another unforgettable story. Until then, take care and goodbye.